Welcome to the second session of today's Life Impact class. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the part two of the power of thoughts, relationship, and environment. So the agenda we have for tonight is this. We're going to be defining the future, questioning your relationships, establishing a relationship, and then we talk about separation. Then we jump into the environments that influence you and also how to create a strategic environment and the power of access. Now, this morning, we discussed the power of thoughts in the first session. And tonight, I'm going to be teaching on the power of relationships and the environment that generates and create our thinking pattern. And this illustration that I want to use as my introduction, it's very unique. So if you have watched this movie before, it's called Tarzan, and it's a story, and hopefully you've watched it. Now, it was about an infant who was adopted and raised by apes, and he grew up behaving like his adopted parent, of course. That's the environment of nurture, and that's the relationship he grew up with. So one day he found another family who also was lost in the jungle. And it was with the help of that family that he actually realized he's human. He used to think he's apes and he's animal because that's what he knew. That's how he grew up. So, but when he found this family, now they brought him into reality that, okay, you're not an animal, you are actually a human being. So to call the story is a fiction. So now the family had a daughter in which Tarzan fell in love with. But when the family left the jungle in Africa, they went back to England. So after a while, because of the emotional attachment that Tarzan had with the daughter of that family, her name is Porter, he decided to leave the jungle and travel to England to marry this person that he fell in love with. But unfortunately, that was short-lived because the lifestyle and the civilized world lifestyle was not really what he was used to. And then he also despised the hypocrisy of the civilized people. So he took his wife, came back to Africa in the jungle to live the rest of his life. So what am I using this to illustrate? Remember, we're talking about the power of relationships and our environment. So this movie actually gave us a very clear understanding how people are attached to certain environments and then how they are also attached to certain relationship. And when we talked about the power of relationship, the power of environment, being able to shape our future, we're not just talking about just because you know somebody. We're not just talking about just because you relate with people. There are so many things that are involved in that kind of relationship and that environment that are deeper than what it's on the surface. So some things like there's an emotional attachment, the sense of belonging, or when you sympathize for somebody, or you're culturally, you have a cultural bond or spiritual bond with those individuals or those environment or belief system, that become a kind of a strong bond that will not make you to be able to have make clear decisions when it's time to say, well, I have to go on my own way and figure out my own life. So the power of relationship and the power of environment is so strong that we have to be cautious with people we relate with and the environment in which we grew up or wherever we find ourselves, so that we will not be sympathizing for circumstances that has no bearing with the future we are going. Remember today, this morning session, I talked about the meaning that you attach to life is what determines how you think about life. And how you think about life determines how you live, and the way you live, it's what generates the result that you're seeing around you today. So I want you to understand this. Now, for you to be able to use the instruments of your thoughts and your relationship and the environment to build the future, you have to first of all define that future that you're going to, and then be able to find those powerful factors and connect them together, align them to build the future that you're going to. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So in the story that I just talked about, you will agree with me because of the emotional connection that Tarzan had with the jungle, being the environment of his nurture, and then how it was, the kind of parenting he has, the things he was used to, what he bounded with. That was the reason he could not live in England and he decided to come. There's also another story, which is like real life story on YouTube. There is a lady from Germany who was married to, fell in love with a Maasai tribe in Kenya. And then she said, well, because I'm married to him and I had to go and live there. So she left Germany and wherever her base was. And then she was living, she's actually right now living in Kenya with a tribe. And if you go to the YouTube, you'll find a documentary there. It's just, but there's no electricity. There is no water that you can, like, you go into the bathroom and shower, and there's nothing like that there. But she loved the environment because the bond that she has with the person, the relationship. That's the power of relationship. That's the power of relationship. So, and then that's how it works. We got to understand this thing, how this affects the future that we're going to. Because first of all, you have to find meaning for life. When you find meaning for life, then you know it determines, then it controls the thought pattern. Once you have meaning, and then you begin to think along that line, and then you begin to make decisions along that line, and that will determine how you lead, and also it's going to determine the results you get in life. So relationships and environments influence how we think and the type of thoughts that run through our mind. So we become emotionally attached to those we relate with. That attachment creates a strong bond that sometimes gets difficult to separate from. And the danger there is, if these people you're relating with, if this environment it's not conducive to produce the result of the life you want to lead, it's going to be dangerous. So you have to find a way to realign yourself and to reconnect yourself with people that are going into the same direction in which you're going in life. So you cannot afford to play around with people that are really not going the same direction in which you're going. So that's what we really want to emphasize on. So now think about this. When if you have an emotional attachment, that makes you, to put feelings, above reasoning. Because of that emotional attachment, you can put feelings above reason that's going to hurt you if once you want to make decision about your life. So think about it, be careful about emotional attachment so you can establish a relationship and the environment that can influence and create future you desire. If you're emotionally attached to somebody and that person doesn't have the value and it's not going where you're going, you probably will not be able to think and reason very well. You're just going to, because of that attachment, you're just going to follow the person blindly. Or because of attachment with an environment, you're just going to say, okay, I love this environment, I'm going to live there. Despite the fact that that environment not provide for you things you need to be successful in life. So you have to be careful with those burns, and you have to be able to analyze and say, does this fit into the picture of the future that I'm going to? If it does not fit, I don't need this relationship. If the environment is not conducive to produce resources for you regarding the future you're going to, you have to say, go, I'm going to separate myself from this environment. And that's basically what we're going to talk about tonight. So now you have to make sure that you have resources, that is strong enough to build the future that you're going to. When you find yourself in a relationship, this will be the test for that relationship. Does this relationship provide me with knowledge and resources that I need to accomplish my future? Before I become so strongly bond with somebody or with an environment, I need to first of all define my future. Does this environment provide what I need? That's the main thing. Is it going to be supportive of where I'm going to? Is this relationship going to enhance my potential to become who I want to be? There are also people who have this sense of belonging to the place. Have you ever heard people say, well, I was born in that place and I don't think I can live anywhere outside that place because, my families are there. I went to high school there. That's all my life there. I don't want to relocate. Despite the fact that that place may not be the very good place for them to help them foster their purpose in life. but because of that sense of belonging, they are attached to that and say, well, that's where I'm going to be. That's what I want to do. And we have some family that have this sense of like, well, we are this kind of families, what we do, or all my kids are going to do the same thing. They're going to go to the same school. That doesn't make sense. So you have to be careful. If you find yourself in that situation, that kind of attachment could ruin, the purpose of your life. Because life is not about emotional attachment. Life is not about that kind of sense of belonging. Life is more about the meaning that's going to take you to the place where you will fulfill your purpose and accomplish what you are here to accomplish in life. There are other people also that base their relationship, like they are being overly spiritual, or they have this cultural bonds, and they have these belief system that will hinder them. Some people are so religious that even if their religion is anti-productive and the doctrine is destructive, they still say, well, this is what we believe, this is what we were taught, this is what we learn. And then they can actually make comparison in life and say, this is not right, this is not, this doesn't make sense. But yet, if they find themselves in that situation because of that sense of belonging, because of that bond, because of that cultural stuff and spiritual attachment, they would not be able to make the right decision. And if you find yourself in that kind of environment or in that kind of relationship, you have to break out from there and to be able to tell yourself, this is not where I'm going in life. Life, it's about the meaning of the purpose that I'm supposed to come and fulfill. It's not about who I'm attached to. It's not about what my parents said about something. It's not about what a religious system is saying, but it's about what is your essence in life. And when you find meaning, you want to fulfill that purpose, not, to be overly attached to some things that will not take you into the place where you're supposed to be going to. Now, I want also to understand, we all don't have all this time in the world to, think, everything is just going to fall in place. So you have to know that you have a short time. So you need to make right decision at the right time. That decision is going to make you to become a fulfilled person where you want to be in life. Now, in saying that, I'm going to in defining your relationship, when you understand how to define, for you to be able to define your future, it's also the way, when you define your relationship, you define your future, because your relationship are some of the things that help you to push you into your future. So in this defining your future, you have to first of all consider what kind of relationship is going to be able to take me into that future that I'm going to. So the first relationship you need to fix is you. You are the first point of contact with yourself. If you want to fix anything about your future, you are the first person to fix yourself. Why do I say that? Because you are the first point of contact to your own future. And if you do not change how you do things, your approach to things, and the way you interpret life, you will not be able to change any other thing. So it does not matter how great that future is. If you cannot change who you are, as in your approach to things, as the way you see things and interpret things, it does not matter if you have good people around you who can help you foster your future, you're still going to be self-destructive because you haven't changed yourself. So you are the first point of contact with your future, and you're going to work on yourself first before you start thinking about changing the people of, trying to define your own future. So understand that your principle and personal philosophy is the first thing you must change. It is what will determine if anything else in your life will align with the future that you desire. So there are principles. There's a principle in the Bible that says, can two walk together except they agree? It's applicable, it applies to you as a person, and it applies to people around you. Why does it apply to you as a person? So you need to come in terms with the reality of the future that you want to go to. You need to agree with the discipline and the requirement that you need to accomplish the future. If you disagree with the principle and the requirement that's going to take you to that future, you are disagreeing with the future that you want to go to. So you have to agree with the terms with yourself and say, I'm going to be disciplined to do this. I'm going to fix myself. I'm going to fix my, whatever principles that I have that is not working well. So you have to fix yourself and go. Then when it comes to people, the people that you want to work with you to take, you're taking with you into your future, you have to be able to understand this has to do with agreement. You don't have to work with people that doesn't agree with you. When I say work with people, that means when you're trying to consciously create a thought, relationship, and environment that can convey the image of the future to you, you need to look for people that agree with the concept of life that you believe in, people that have the same value as yours. So those are the people you can work with. So your future should be determined. Your future should determine your relationship. Your future determines not your relationship doesn't determine your future. You need to know where you're going first, and before you choose the people that you want to take along with you to that future. But if you don't know where you're going to and you begin to have a relationship with people, you're just going to follow them to wherever they want to take you to. Even and I've seen this with married couples, that if you get married without defining where you're going first, or if you get married to somebody whose ideology, idea is different from yours, or the principles of their life is different from yours, you will see that there's not going to be agreement between you guys. So your first thing is to say, I know where I'm going, and when I want to find a partner, I need to find someone who is going into the same direction, who has the same concept of life, and we can work it together. That's why, defining the future is, first of all, you have to know where you're going, and then fix yourself, then also find a relationship that agree with what you're going to and where you want to be in life. So you need to first have the clarity of where you are heading, and then build relationship and association that will vividly give you the picture, who can help you foster that, the principles you need to accomplish that future. So next thing we're going to talk about is also when you're trying to establish in your relationship, because I'm focused on relationship now, and later I'm going to talk about environment. So because relationship have impact, you see, he has emotional impact, he has all this kind of bond that could affect you and determines your outcome in life. So, but when you are in a relationship, or when you want to associate with people so that you can agree together with them, or they can agree together with you to go into the future that you're going into, you question that relationship and you ask the question of, why does this relationship exist when people that are around you, you're looking at people around you and say, okay, the people that I have in my circle, are they going to be able to help me to get into the future that I'm going to? Would they be able to help me to plan, and then work in the same value that I have, so that we can push ourselves together into the future? So you question that relationship and say, why does this relationship exist? Why do you need this relationship? Is it necessary? You have to define why each relationship is important and what will happen if that relationship cease to exist. So if there is no kind of benefits to say, you're not learning anything from people, they're not imparting anything into you, why would you want to waste your time with people that's not really, adding to your life? You don't have this time to waste. So you question, why does this relationship exist? You ask yourself, when people are around you, or you're around people, why do I feel this way around these people? You want to understand what kind of message, or what kind of message does this people communicate to you? When you're around them, when they speak, what does it make you, how does it make you feel? If when people speak and you're around them, it just seems like a cold water is being poured into you, and you feel uncomfortable, and you feel what they're saying, and you feel like, oh my God, I wish I'm not really listening to this guy. Those are not people you want to be around. So you want to find people that when they speak, you're challenged and you say, wow, I have to do better in the pursuit of my life. I have to do better. I don't think I'm doing better. I think I need to find more, I need to acquire more knowledge to help me to get into the place where I'm going to. Also, you have to ask yourself, why do I need this person, particularly this person in my life? What is this person doing in my life? Why is this person in my life? So be specific on the reasons and impact of each person in your life. What does this person contribute to my life? Oh, this is the guy that helped me. Whenever I listen to this guy, I become very spiritual. Or whenever I listen to this guy, it makes me to be very analytical about how I spend my money. But you know, each person that it's around you, what is it that they are contributing to your life? Also, you need to understand the role. Is this relationship meant for mentorship? Is it just people that are around you to distract you? What role do those people play in your life? And then how much influence does this person or people have in your life? You see, how do they influence you? Because people around you influence you consciously or unconsciously. Remember, everybody that comes around you, they have access to you. And anything that have access to you, it's going to be able to control your life, maybe consciously, unconsciously. Then you ask yourself, this relationship, what value does this relationship add to my life? All right, I see, I understand it's a peer relationship, it's a, or mentorship relationship. Oh, this person teaches me about this. Oh, this person, when he speaks, then what value does all those things that you gain from this person, what value does it add to you? It doesn't matter if when somebody speaks, it makes you feel like, whoa, you're doing great. But not only to say, to assume you're doing great, but you have to be able to specific and say, the value that this person is contributing to my life, this is what it is. This value is what will get me to this next level, or this value. It's so important because I'm going to need it in 3 years. I'm going to need this value that this person is communicating to me, or this value also validates what I also believe about life. So you have to ask yourself questions like that. So, and also you got to ask yourself, what does this relationship validate? Is it really syncing with the purpose of my life? And after you ask yourself those questions, you move into establishing the right relationship. Now been able to question my relationship. I've been to question people around me. Now it's two things. If I have 6 people around me, if I move around 10 people, after evaluating those people, that I'll be able to choose based on this criteria that this person will be fit for the future that I'm going to. Remember, you already defined your future from the beginning, where you are going to. And then second thing, you question your relationship, people around you. Not everybody around you, you're going to need their support to go to where you're going to. When you question those relationships, why is it existing? How does it make you feel? What you need from this person? What role is this person playing in your life? What influence is this person adding to you? What value? And then what does it validate? Then you go to now establishing a relationship with these people with the same values or better value than yours. Not just anybody. Relationship, it's expensive. It's going to destroy you or it's going to help you. Any relationship, there's no single relationship that's going to leave you the same way, just like the thought pattern and just like the environment, they like almost work in the same way. Those 3 factors, thoughts that come into your life doesn't leave you the same way. People you relate with, they don't leave you the same way. Environment you find yourself communicates something to you. It's those 3 things. That's why the emphasis of this teaching is you have to consciously associate yourself with thoughts, relationships, and environment that can convey to you the imagination or visualizations of the future that you desire. You need those 3 things. You have to coordinate those 3 things. You're not just going to find yourself in that great future just like that. But you got to understand that there are principles that works in our life. There is something that brought you to where you are today, which is also those 3 things. The way you've been thinking, the thought you've subjected yourself to previously is what shapes your life to make you who you are today. Relationship, which includes your family background, which includes your people you talk to, which includes whatever you've learned, the people you relate with, and then the environment that you're exposed to. Those are the things that shape your life to be for you to be who you are today. Now, if you understand those 3 concepts, thought, relationship, and environment, you also understand that from where you are right now to where you want to be in the future, those are also going to be the 3 things that will continue to shape your life. The way you think, the people you relate with, and the environment you expose yourself to. You cannot do without those 3 concepts. You cannot. Think about everything that makes you to be who you are today, how you are today, what you think today, how you see things today, how you view life today. Those are those three concepts that brings your life together to shape you. And they will continue to be the three concepts, three powerful factor that will also determines where you are going in the future. So it makes sense for you to understand how to take this thing and control it to be able to give you the benefits of what you want in the future. That's why you have to know how to establish relationship with people with same value. People who value what you value and they're thinking about what you're thinking. People who are committed to growth and personal development. Also, people whose life have been on the right progression. What I mean by that, you're not looking for somebody who just say, I have an overnight success. No, you want to look at people whose success has been steady and progressive because they understand principles of success. It's not like they wake up this day and they find themselves being successful. It's not people that doesn't have principles to live by. I'm talking about people who have principles, who have values, and they've lived on those things and they have results. Also, you have to learn how to establish a relationship with people who can mentor you because they will make you accountable. Because if you live a life without being accountable, you will not be successful. You will do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. That's why you hear about names of people who are very successful, but when you hear about the things they do, you say, why would that kind of person behave like that? Because they are not accountable to people. They don't have someone who they're accountable to. And then also you have relationship with peers and prodigies, people that pour into you and people that also you can pour into, because you cannot only receive. It's not okay to only receive. You have to need outlets. That's how a river flows. You have to receive, to learn from people, you acquire knowledge, and then you also pour into people, the exchange of knowledge. So the next thing we talk about is separation from, now you establish the right relationship, but you need to know what you need to separate from. Media or television, dangerous. These has been the instruments of the Hollywood elites and how to change the society. They've used movies, they've used so many things, programs, to program people. Yes, television has been an instrument of programming people. So they show you what they want you to see. They tell you the vision they want you to begin to see. If you don't have your own vision to tell, they begin to tell you what they want you to see. You buy it from them, and then you live by the standard of the society. They change your idea. They change the way you see things. They change your passion. That's why you see advertisement will come on, and before you know, you say, well, no, let me see that thing. The next time I go to mall, I'm going to check that thing because I saw it on advert on TV. So they change your taste. They change your affection. They change your passion. They change the way you spend. So that's the power of television. But if you are not going into the direction of what the agenda they have for you, they are changing you and redirecting the path of your own life. Also separate from people that cannot clearly define where they are going in life. They will make you to stop at all the bus stops in life and waste your time. If they don't know where they're going to, you can't walk with them because they're going to distract you. So you have to separate yourself from people like that. They don't have definition of where they are going to. Why would you want to walk with people who don't know where they're going to? If you're traveling to, let's say you're going in a place and it's going to take you 10 hours to get to that direction, to that place where you're going to, and you pick up somebody who doesn't know where they're going to, and you've already driven for 5 hours, and at the middle of the road, they told you, well, I'm sorry, I got to go back. You got to take me back. They're going to waste your time. They're going to waste your time. They're going to distract you, cause, chaos for you. So separate from people that doesn't know where they're going. Also, those whose habit do not match the future you desire. Those are not the people you want to be with. The level of their discipline is not going to help you. Those are not people you want to associate yourself with. You have to find people whose habits are the same with yours. People who believe in discipline, people who believe in, being punctual, people who believe in being cautious, people who believe in being decent. Those are the people who have the right habits. Now, those are the people you need to associate with. But when their habit doesn't match yours, you have to separate from them. Those who do not also respect your dreams and values, you have nothing to do with them. They're going to kill your dream and they're going to drag you down because their values are not your values. And also, people that have no respect for your time and belief system, you have nothing to do with them. So, in the words of Darren Hardy, the author of The Compound Effect, he said, make sure you examine your relationship and make sure you are not spending 3 hours with people that you only need to spend 3 minutes with. That's the power of relationship. There are people that the only time you should spend with them should be 3 minutes. If you make a mistake in spending 30 minutes with them, they will pollute you and then drag you down. So make sure you have this right people, in the right setting. Let's quickly talk about environment, the power of environment to influence the purpose of your life. Now, I already, talked about thoughts and relationship. Now, there is something that is very important. The thoughts and relationship that you find yourself or you engage yourself with happens in an environment. So you cannot separate what kind of thought that flows into your mindset or what kind of relationship that you find yourself in. You can't separate those two things from the environment because they are product of the environment that you find yourself. As a matter of fact, David Eagleman said this. He said, who we are, heavily depends on where we have been. Who we are heavily depends on where we have been. And I said, if that's the case, if who you are today heavily depends on where you have been, definitely what that means is where you are right now will determine where you're going to be. Where you are right now and who you are right now would also contribute to where you're going to be in the future and who you're going to become. That's the principle. That's how it works. Who you are today heavily depends on where you've been before. The environment, the people, the conversation, the relationship, the thought pattern, the belief system, the culture, the ideas. Those things shapes you to make you who you are today. And those things were based on the environment of your exposure. Now, if that's the case, that means where you are today and who you are today, what you're exposing yourself to today, the thought pattern, the relationship, this environment you find yourself is going to determine where you're going to be tomorrow and who you're going to become tomorrow. So what am I saying now is take absolute control of those three things: the way you think, the relationship, and the environment in which you find yourself. The environment in which you find yourself. Your environment contributes to every of your experience in life. Every of your experience in life, not one experience, everything that happens to you happen in an environment. So what kind of environment did you subject yourself to? There is no way you can separate your existence or your becoming from your environment. Your environment contributes a lot to the way you see things, your perspective about life, the meaning you give to life. So the experience that you have had before altered something about your life. The people you've talked to, the conversation, the environment you've been. So you have to think about this, very important. So what are we saying is now, from this moment, you need to learn how to consciously choose or create the environment that is going to be conducive for the future that you want to go to. This thing will not happen just like that. So let me talk quickly about environment that deeply influence who you are. There are so many different environments, but this is one of the, some of the major environment that influence who you are. Your home environment, that's where first of all, your language acquisition, that's the place where you learn how to talk. That's the place where you're emotionally attached with the ideals and the belief system of your family, your culture, and whatever, they impart into you. That's the first environment. If you're going to be successful in life, that's the first thing you expose yourself to. Or maybe you have a parent that are really successful, or if your father is a CEO, you begin to see how a CEO carried himself. If your mother, it's whatever their profession is, that's the first environment you begin to learn things from and see. That's where you begin to mirror yourself. So that's the first environment that influences individual. If it's an environment that is full of confusion, that's the first place you expose yourself to. If it's not a good nurturing environment, that's the first place you understand hostility. So home environment is one of the environment that influences us. So you have to ask yourself, I'm not saying leave your house, but if you are a grown-up and you have your own house, make sure your home is conducive for the people that live in there. So that, because in every environment, the memory of the environment stays with you. Not only does it stay with you to remember things, it also alter, the structure of your brain. It alter the things that you experience in that environment, alter the structure of your brains. It affects you. It leaves a footprint that you cannot erase from you, and it determines who you are and also could constrain who you want to become. So think about that kind of environment. If it's not conducive for you to stay in that environment, you have to leave. And another environment, it's the religious environment. The people that are religiously inclined, they know the creed you listen to. Somebody who said, I've been a Christian, I was born in church. Somebody said, I was born in the mosque, I've listened to this, and this is our belief system. You said the radical, religious people, we have them in Christians, we have them in Islam, and we have them in different kind of religion. And you see, so that environment has so much influence and is so powerful. And you see people beheading people, that's a religious environment. So that's the power of that environment that shape people's life, because they are ready to die for what they believe. Then we have the academic environment. You got to be careful of this. In some cases, these environments, they're very unbalanced, doctored to certain patterns. So because the curriculum that you're learning, the people learning in school, it's created by some people who don't even know what you want in life. So, but they've been able to fashion it in a way to impart knowledge that is going to be useful for the system and the society. But some people go to school, they get frustrated coming out of school, graduating, and say, well, I don't know, I just waste 4 years. And whatever we learn, I can't even change my life with what I learned. So the system is being doctored. And then you go to school, you learn things. And the only way you can use the thing is to join an organization or company that's been established by the elites, but it does not impart knowledge to transform into you. Few people went to school and then acquire knowledge that actually transformed their life, because the system and the curriculum is not made for that knowledge that will give you that kind of liberty that you become a knowledgeable person. You just become specialized in and acquired knowledge in some area. So academic environment affect a lot of people. Now it also even create limitation to some people, because some people say that, well, this is not my major. When I went to school, I studied engineering, so I don't know how to do any other thing except to be an engineer. So it really closed door for people, because they've been doctored to say, oh, you're an engineer, that's your field. Then the ability to reason and think like, I'm an engineer, can I also be a farmer? Do I have the potential to be a farmer? They can't reason like that anymore, because the knowledge that's imparted to them has become, they've been doctored and kind of indoctrinated into that, and they can't see beyond their degree system. So you got to be careful of that environment. It has a lot of influence. And the work environment sometimes could be developmental, like you go to a workplace and they help you to learn a lot of skills and build your ability to reason, the capacity to lead and things like that. And at the same time, it could also be a crippling environment where you go to and you get enticed with what you're being paid, and you can't even wake yourself up and say, well, I'm not going to work here for 30 years and I have not even built anything for myself. I don't have a vision of what I want to be in life. I'm just doing this job, being promoted and earning this money and spending it, and I've not created anything. This job is not going to create a legacy for me in my life. So why do you want to die in a job and retire? And when you retire, you just continue to live like you're nobody. But yet, it's not satisfactory. You haven't come to fulfill your purpose in life. So you have to watch that work environment. It's so influential. It could be developmental in a positive way, and it could also be crippling. So you have to be careful and sit yourself down and say, this is a good job, a good paying job, but is it the job? This is what I want in my life. Is this where I want to end my life in? Is this the future that I want for myself? If that's not the case, then you have to learn how to create your own strategic environment. So creating a strategic environment is, there are different kind of environment. We talked about the influencing environment, but now I'm talking about, there are spiritual environments, mental environment, and physical environment. So we are so used to the physical environment, but within us, we also create a spiritual environment for those people that are really spiritually inclined. And then also there's a mental environment. So what happened in your spiritual environment is that's the place where you have this spiritual communication. This is where you receive inspiration that is divine for those people that are spiritual. This is an environment where you create for yourself inwardly, not outside. It's inwardly that you can tune to the frequency of, as Christian, frequency of God, to receive revelation from God, to worship God, to learn about the things of God. The mental environment is like uh, the innovative environment. The innovative and creative mentality becomes your strategic environment for invention. So if you want to be someone who invent things, you have to be able to understand how to create that mental environment that you can think right, you can have a focused thinking, and you can also, take yourself into the creative thinking. And it's also an emotional environment, the mental environment. But then the physical environment is where we're used to, your homes and everything. What's important about this kind of environment is just to say a strategic environment is a place where you have the resources that is going to support the future that you're going to. Plain and simple. Is this environment strong enough to give me the resources that I need for the future that I'm going to? So if it's not, then you have to create that environment by yourself. You have to separate from one environment and create the one that it's okay for you to take you to the place that you want to be in life. So that's what's important about this environment. So I said, for example, like an incubator, it's a strategic environment for a premature baby to grow. That's not a normal environment. That premature baby doesn't need that normal environment. It needs that incubator to provide the resources, the condition for that premature baby to grow. So think about like that. Sometimes your vision is like a premature baby. You need that mental environment to incubate that vision. You need that spiritual environment to allow that vision to grow, or the future you're going to. So you have to create that environment that is sufficient enough, create resources enough for that thing that you're looking for to grow. If your environment is not ideal enough to help you, you have to create your own strategic environment. You have to locate your own strategic environment. You have to find that environment that is resourceful for you to help you, foster the agenda of your life. So find the environment that supports your purpose, your vision, and your goals. That's the bottom line. Find that environment. It's important to create a successful life, but for you to do that, you need that right environment. Examine the culture of those that influence your decision, and also see, are they failing or are they pulling you down? Okay, so if they're pulling you down, you are in the wrong environment, in the wrong relationship. You have to move from that environment. Find the environment that provides avenue to produce the tools you need to achieve what you want in life. Find it. Without the resourceful environment, you cannot function. It is your natural habitation to become the best of you. So find an environment that also brings the best of you out. How you think and what you focus on creates your mental and spiritual environment that influences the result that you are creating. So think and create an environment that will foster your creative ability and enhances your productive power. So think about that. Okay, and I said the future belongs to those who have plans, ideas, unwavering faith, and big dream, and also clear vision. But you need an environment, a good environment, a good relationship, and a thought life to be able to, fulfill those things. So think about that. The best decision is to start now from where you are. Don't wait till tomorrow. Just begin to analyze your environment. You examine, you see, the vision that you carry, the future you want to go to, is that environment in which you find yourself, is it conducive enough to carry that thing, to give you that, that maximum, resources to help you to build the future you want? If it's not helping you, you need to understand is either the environment is going to murder that vision or it's going to give it a breathing space to survive. One of two things your environment is doing to you, and the same thing your relationship is doing to you. And lastly, I want to talk about access. See, your environment is like the place that creates the access for everything that comes into your life. If you are in a good environment, it provide access to a good relationship and a good thoughts, thinking pattern. But if you're in a wrong environment, the only access you have in that environment are things that are really not going to be helpful for you. So when you subject yourself to an environment, that environment is creating access to how you think, the relationship that you're going to find yourself. And then the images around in that environment will determine if you're going to be successful or not. So think about it very well. What access are you creating in your life? What's everything? The summary of this is you, as someone that have a desire to function in life and to go into a greater life and to fulfill a purpose, you need to consciously associate yourself with thoughts, relationship, and environment that convey the image of the future that you want to go to. So you have to do that. You have to have control of the way you think. Don't let thoughts just, throw you off. You need to have deliberate pattern of thinking. You need to have specific and focused thinking, and you need to associate yourself with different activities of thinking that leads into the future you want. Then you have to establish a relationship that support that future. And at the same time, make sure your environment is a strategic one that can provide resources for you to accomplish what you want to accomplish in life. And that will be all for today. And I want to really take time to appreciate you for your time, for listening to this teaching and being part of what we are doing here. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for being part of what we're doing. And I'll say God bless you and God bless your family too. Now we'll see you any other time.